Stepping into a leadership role for the first time is both exciting and daunting. But did you know that nearly 60% of new managers fail within the first 2 years? That's a shocking statistic that most people aren't aware of. Even more surprising, a Gallup survey found that only 1 in 10 leaders naturally possess the talent to lead effectively. This means many new leaders are at risk of making mistakes that could derail their careers before they even get started. Leadership is a journey, and like any journey, it's easy to stumble along the way. But here's the good news. Many of these pitfalls are avoidable. In this video, we're going to uncover 9 common mistakes that beginner leaders often make. More importantly, we'll dive into strategies to help you steer clear of these traps and set yourself up for success. From avoiding the isolation trap to learning how to manage your emotions, each chapter is packed with actionable advice and insights. If you're ready to become a leader who inspires and drives results, stick around. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The isolation trap. As a new leader, it's easy to fall into the trap of isolation. You might think that as the leader, you need to make all the decisions on your own. But that's a big mistake. Leaders who isolate themselves from their teams often miss out on valuable insights. According to a Gallup study, companies with high employee engagement are 21% more profitable. This engagement starts with leaders who involve their teams in decision-making. One of the best ways to avoid isolation is by fostering an open-door policy. This doesn't just mean keeping your door physically open. It's about being approachable and encouraging your team to share their ideas and concerns. A Harvard Business Review article points out that leaders who actively listen to their teams build stronger relationships and foster trust. Remember, your team is your greatest asset. Tap into their collective wisdom. Moreover, avoid creating an us versus them mentality. When you separate yourself too much from your team, it can lead to resentment and a lack of cohesion. As John C. Maxwell said, leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. Empowerment comes from collaboration, not isolation. Involve your team in setting goals and solving problems. This approach not only reduces your workload but also boosts team morale. People are more committed to a course of action they helped create. Lastly, don't be afraid to show vulnerability. Admitting that you don't have all the answers can actually strengthen your leadership. It shows that you value your team's input and are open to learning. According to Brené Brown, vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. This courage can break down walls between you and your team. Chapter 2. The feedback vacuum. A common mistake for beginner leaders is avoiding feedback, both giving it and receiving it. But feedback is crucial for growth. A study by Zenger Folkman found that leaders who ask for feedback are rated as much more effective by their employees. In fact, these leaders were seen as 22% more effective than those who didn't seek feedback. Why do leaders shy away from feedback? Sometimes, it's fear of conflict or a lack of confidence. But without feedback, both you and your team can't improve. It's like trying to drive without a rearview mirror. You're missing a crucial perspective. Start by creating a culture where feedback is seen as a positive, not a negative. One way to do this is by leading by example. Regularly ask your team for their input on your performance. This shows that you're committed to personal growth. Plus, it makes giving feedback less intimidating for them. When providing feedback to your team, focus on being specific and actionable. General comments like, "Good job," or "You need to improve," aren't helpful. Instead, say something like, "I noticed that you handled the client call well by addressing their concerns directly. However, next time, try to also summarize the key points at the end for clarity." This gives clear direction without discouragement. Remember, feedback isn't just about correcting mistakes. It's also about recognizing and reinforcing good behavior. Positive feedback can increase employee engagement, which Gallup links to 17% higher productivity. So, don't skimp on praise when it's deserved. Lastly, make feedback a two-way street. Encourage your team to give you honest feedback. This can be done through anonymous surveys or one-on-one meetings. According to Ken Blanchard, feedback is the breakfast of champions. So, make sure it's a regular part of your leadership diet. If you're finding this video useful, subscribe and let's get back to the exciting stuff. Chapter 3. The vision blur. As a leader, one of your main jobs is to set the direction for your team. But without clear, inspiring goals, your team can quickly lose focus. In fact, a study by the American Psychological Association found that only 50% of employees felt that they understood their organization's goals. This lack of clarity can lead to confusion and disengagement. To avoid this, start by crafting a compelling vision. Your vision should be more than just a business target. It should be something that resonates with your team on a personal level. Simon Sinek, in his book Start With Why, emphasizes the importance of purpose. He states, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." Your team needs to understand the why behind their work. Once your vision is clear, break it down into specific, measurable goals. Use the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This method ensures that your goals are clear and attainable. For example, instead of saying, "increase sales," a SMART goal would be, "increase sales by 10% over the next quarter through targeted marketing strategies." It's also important to communicate these goals regularly. Don't just set them and forget them. Discuss progress in team meetings and celebrate small wins along the way. This keeps the vision fresh in everyone's mind and builds momentum. Lastly, involve your team in the goal-setting process. People are more motivated when they have a say in the goals they're working towards. According to a study by Dr. Gail Matthews at Dominican University, people are 42% more likely to achieve their goals if they write them down and share them with others. So, encourage your team to take ownership of their goals. In summary, a blurred vision can lead to a scattered team. But with clear, inspiring goals, you can align your team's efforts and drive them toward success. Chapter 4. The micromanagement abyss. Micromanagement is a common pitfall for new leaders. It's tempting to want to control every detail to ensure things go smoothly. But this approach can backfire. Micromanaging stifles creativity and innovation. According to a study by Harvard Business Review, employees under micromanagers are 28% more likely to leave their jobs. This turnover can hurt your team's productivity and morale. To avoid falling into the micromanagement abyss, start by trusting your team. You hired them for a reason, right? They have the skills and expertise to do their jobs well. Give them the autonomy to make decisions and solve problems on their own. A book called Drive by Daniel Pink highlights that autonomy is one of the 3 key factors that drive motivation. When people feel they have control over their work, they are more engaged and productive. Set clear expectations and then step back. This doesn't mean you're abandoning your team. Instead, you're giving them space to innovate. As the saying goes, don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and let them surprise you with their results. This approach can lead to unexpected solutions and new ideas. Of course, it's important to check in regularly, but the focus should be on support, not control. Ask how you can help remove obstacles, rather than asking for constant updates. This shift in focus shows your team that you trust them to do their jobs, but you're there if they need guidance. Another strategy is to encourage a culture of experimentation. Let your team know it's okay to try new things, even if they fail. Failure can be a great teacher. A study from the Journal of Business Venturing found that entrepreneurs who failed in their first venture were more likely to succeed in their next one. The same principle applies to your team. Allowing room for failure fosters creativity and leads to better solutions. Finally, consider delegating more. Delegation isn't about offloading work. It's about empowering your team and freeing up your time to focus on strategic tasks. According to John C. Maxwell, if you want to do a few small things right, do them yourself. If you want to do great things and make a big impact, learn to delegate. Chapter 5. The emotional rollercoaster. Emotions are a powerful force. As a leader, your emotions can greatly impact your decisions and, consequently, your team's success. The problem arises when emotions, especially negative ones, take the wheel. A survey by TalentSmart found that 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. This means they can manage their emotions and make decisions based on logic rather than impulse. One of the first steps to controlling the emotional roller coaster is self-awareness. This is about understanding your emotional triggers and how they affect your behavior. A great way to build self-awareness is through regular reflection. Take time at the end of each day to think about your emotional responses and how they impacted your decisions. Over time, you'll start to notice patterns. Next, practice emotional regulation. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. Instead, it's about managing them in a way that doesn't cloud your judgment. One effective strategy is the 10-second rule. Before reacting to a situation, pause and take a deep breath. This brief moment can prevent you from making rash decisions that you might later regret. Another strategy is to separate facts from feelings. When faced with a tough decision, write down the facts of the situation. Then, write down your feelings about it. By separating the two, you can approach the decision with a clearer mind. A study from the University of Michigan found that people who write down their emotions are better able to control them. It's also important to build emotional resilience. This is the ability to bounce back from setbacks without letting them derail you. One way to build resilience is through a growth mindset, a concept popularized by Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. When you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This simple shift in thinking can turn a negative experience into a valuable lesson. Lastly, don't go it alone. As a leader, it can be tempting to keep your emotions to yourself. But bottling up emotions can lead to burnout. Find a trusted colleague or mentor to talk to when things get tough. Sometimes, just talking through a problem can help you see it more clearly. In summary, emotions are a natural part of leadership, but they shouldn't drive your decisions. By practicing self-awareness, emotional regulation, and resilience, you can lead with clarity and confidence. Chapter 6. The growth stagnation. As a leader, you're expected to guide others, but what happens when you neglect your own growth? It's a mistake that many new leaders make. They get so caught up in managing their teams that they forget to invest in their own development. According to a study by the Center for Creative Leadership, 40% of new leaders fail within the first 18 months due to a lack of personal development. This statistic highlights the importance of continuous learning. One of the best ways to avoid growth stagnation is by adopting a mindset of lifelong learning. Leadership isn't static, it evolves with new challenges and opportunities. Reading books, attending workshops, and seeking out mentors are all effective ways to keep growing. In his book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, Carol Dweck emphasizes the importance of a growth mindset, stating, "The view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life." This mindset allows you to embrace challenges and learn from them. Another strategy is to regularly seek feedback from your peers, mentors, and even your team. Honest feedback can be a mirror, reflecting areas where you can improve. According to research by the International Journal of Business Communication, leaders who actively seek feedback are 14.9% more effective in their roles. This simple act of asking for input can uncover blind spots and guide your development. Networking is another key aspect of personal growth. Surround yourself with other leaders who inspire you. Attend industry conferences, join professional groups, and engage in meaningful conversations. Networking not only expands your knowledge but also opens doors to new opportunities. A Harvard Business Review study found that executives who prioritize networking are more likely to advance in their careers. It's also essential to set aside time for self-reflection. Reflection allows you to evaluate your experiences and learn from them. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, or simply taking a quiet walk, find a method that helps you process your thoughts. John Dewey, an educational philosopher, once said, "We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience." This reflection is where true growth happens. Lastly, don't forget to take care of your physical and mental well-being. Leadership can be demanding, and it's easy to burn out if you're not careful. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and enough sleep are crucial for maintaining the energy and focus needed to lead effectively. According to the National Institute of Health, regular physical activity can reduce stress and improve cognitive function, which are both vital for effective leadership. Join our journey by subscribing to the channel and never miss out on our latest uploads.